Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege and pleasure to welcome each of you to this very first official Vader City Council meeting to start off 2015 with a bang. We're excited about the prospects of this coming year for the City of Vader. It's a privilege and pleasure to serve as members of the council. We're here this evening. And we're grateful to each of you for making the effort to come as well. We'll officially declare this meeting to order at, we have to adjust that time. It's got to really be off at 6:02.
I just forwarded it because last time you guys told me it was too slow.
Oh my word.
Okay.
But we'll call it 6:02.
6:02.
Yes. So with that, we'll proceed with our call to roll call. We invite our city clerk to perform that for us.
Mayor Smith,
Present.
Andy Wilson,
Present.
Mark Fennison,
Present.
Joe Scheid,
Present.
Kevin Flynn,
Present.
and Justin Olson.
Present.
All present.
Excellent. We have a full house, full complement. We'll proceed, therefore, with a prayer. And I was anticipating that Mr. Fennison would begin the year by offering that for us. Are you so inclined? Okay. Thank you. We'd invite the audience to join with us.
Our Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day that you've given to us, and we thank you for the many blessings that we've received. We thank you for this opportunity that we have to come together with the residents, citizens of Vader, and to conduct this business meeting. Lord, we come before you as needy people. We need your wisdom. And so, Lord, we implore you to grant us that request and help us to do things in an orderly way that may be good for the city and may be wise, and may be honoring to your name. And Father, we're thankful for this new year that you've given to us. And as we look back at the past year, we're thankful for the many blessings that we have received. We pray that you bless us this year, bless each one here. In the name of Jesus we ask. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much for that. We now invite all to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Olson, we invite you to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll proceed now with the mayor's report. Mercifully, I don't have a great deal that ought to be brought to the council's attention. You'll note that we did indicate that you should be aware of the status of the excavator. It was functioning well for about a month, and we got some use out of it. And then we discovered 2 to 3 weeks ago that it's beginning to overheat again. And we had an employee staff meeting yesterday, at which time we explored options that might be available for us. And Nev Peltier has indicated that he'd like to give, as he referred to it, some shade tree inspection to see if he can discern what's causing it. That was the initial problem at the outset of all this. It just tends to overheat. And so after he completes that inspection of it, then we will likely review the options that we may have to surplus it in an as-is condition or otherwise. So that's where we sit and the status of the excavator. So any questions, concerns on that topic? Hearing none, then I think that there's any other issues. So we'll proceed with the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. In consultation with the city clerk, just immediately prior to the meeting, it became evident that we had omitted a topic that needs to be addressed, and it has to do with the the request for qualifications for our planning entity, and we're prepared to provide some feedback on that issue, and we'd like the council to consider it. And I think it would be appropriate, if the council is not opposed to it, put it perhaps at the item number 6 at the end of the agenda. Council consideration of the request for qualifications for city planning entity. So that's the only addition I would ask for council consideration. Is there any other topics or changes that council perceives are appropriate? If not, I'll await a motion.
I put a motion together right now that we approve the agenda as written with the addition of item 6 for consideration for city planner.
Okay, excellent. Now, you've heard the motion submitted by Mr. Flynn to approve the agenda with the addition of item 6, council consideration for city planner.
I second.
Okay, we've got a second by Mr. Wilson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll proceed now with the approval of the minutes. From
There
our-
are not minutes.
Oh, okay, so,
We'll talk about that next time.
alrighty, yeah, we'll have to do double duty on our next council meeting. Voucher approval. See that we have an addendum to the packet.
I'll make a motion to approve the voucher
Okay,
for $91,593.50.
okay. I've got a motion submitted by Mr. Olson to approve the vouchers in the amount so stated. Do we have a second?
Can we state that it's December 2014?
Oh,
so
yes,
that it's
for
connected
clarifying
there?
that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's
Okay,
important.
and that would be for the voucher of ending December 2014.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good, thank you. Do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Flynn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now, it'll be an opportunity for public comment. Do we have any?
Holly Sword.
Oh,
Hi, Hallie Sword here, 811 A Street. This is real simple. It's just a thank you, a couple thank yous. One, I appreciate the service of the mayor and the city council. I appreciate it even when I disagree with you all, which occasionally I do. But I appreciate your giving up your time when you're sitting home watching TV or playing video games or who only knows what, but not here. And I'm grateful for law enforcement and the others that serve. It's not easy, and it often is unappreciated, but I appreciate it. The other thing I appreciate is the memorial service that was held for Jasper. I really feel that Vader did the right thing in the right way at the right time, and I appreciate the Assembly of God giving a building for use for that. I appreciate the angelic music that was there, and just the sentiment, and it made me feel that we showed dignity, respect, and love for this little spirit who left. And it meant a lot to me, so it's just simply thank you for going ahead and doing that. I appreciate it.
well, very kind comments. Thank you for making that a matter of public record. Okay, so no other
That's it.
individuals? Okay, well, then let's proceed with our city business. I know we have a lot of ground to cover. It doesn't appear that the numbers of the page is full, but item number 1 is council to consider resolution 01-2015, Lewis County Sheriff Contract for Services. Yes,
I'd like to make a comment on the patrolling hours.
you know,
they're doing one heck of a job for the hours they're serving now. But
Yeah,
it's my opinion, by looking around, they can only be here so much time. I would like to increase their hours to 24 per week. Yes or no?
well, okay. That's an interesting thought. I hope you have your calculators handy. Because the reality is that contract that we've been negotiating, if that's the right word for it, it's not easy to negotiate with men who carry guns.
Only they're not wrong.
That's right.
That's just my opinion.
Hear that, Ray?
Sure. And no, we appreciate that. But where to begin? I know you have not had much time to read and assimilate this document. But so I'm going to try and capture some of the salient major points of it, and would invite our city clerk to jump in, as I am going to predict beforehand that I will leave out certain things. And both of us have been knee to knee with Rob Snauzer, the new Lewis County Sheriff, and Bruce Kinsley, who's his second in command.
No. His second in command is Wes Ruthwell.
Well, I think that, yeah, he's the undersheriff, Wes Ruthwell. But Bruce Kinsey is going to be, I think, the individual who's been assisting him with the documents and the information we've got. So it's kind of a tripartite entity that we're dealing with. That's the right word. In any event, bottom line is they've done a considerable number analysis. And they provide 20 hours a week, but you're also aware that there have been numerous instances in which they have responded to call-outs. And they have it all broken down statistically, and we could go over and share all of that with you. But call-outs, I think there were about 280 or so, and they've monitored the number of felonies and the number of misdemeanors, such. And the figures that you see in this document capture the costs of those call-outs, which are billed. But the one case that was referred to by Mrs. Sores was extremely time-consuming, still an ongoing investigation, and the city of Vader could not have come even close if we had our own. The county would have come in and had to take over the case in any event, even if we had our own police force. But the number of hours expended by Lewis County on that murder investigation would have bankrupted the city had we had to pay for that. I hope you're aware of that. So, as you said, Mr. Wilson, we're getting a lot more bang for the buck. But county's aware of the new costs associated with the service provided to us, and they've felt the need to raise our rates. And that's the bottom line nutshell.
The only thing I would add to that, Mayor, is that
Yes.
the rate is being raised across the board throughout the whole county. It's not just us, it's their hourly rate for call-outs to anybody is being, just so you know, it's not just Vader that they're increasing.
Right.
It's flat across the board.
Yeah, when they have call-outs to other communities for the services which they do, they have to, because all the communities are in Lewis County. They're all feeling the pinch, and I've probably been reading headlines and the newspaper articles from some of the pushback that some of the communities have Brett, but do they have the chart of the rate increase? Is that in the packet?
The start of the rate increase, which.
It's the one where it went
No,
from...
no, I didn't give them that, the salaries, no.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, it's, the bottom line when you do crunch the numbers is that the total amount over the budget for 2015 would be $12,000. This is on your first page, $12,983. That is the crux of the challenge that we're faced with tonight. Is to, you have some options. It costs $3,500 approximately for every hour of service rendered. So, Mr. Wilson, if you were to raise it by 4 hours, you can multiply $3,500 times 4. And that would be over and above the $12,900 that we're already having to figure out how to pay for.
Can I clarify
Please.
that? I'm sorry.
Yes,
The
I know.
3,500 is if you took 1 hour for a year,
Year.
1 hour a week for a year comes to 3,500.
Yes.
So just to clarify, it's not 1 hour costs 35, but 1 hour
Yeah,
throughout
thank you
the
for
whole
that.
year. If you were to go from 20 hours down to 19, 1 hour, that one is about 3,500.
I mention that because one of the options that you have is to reduce the 20 hours to 19, and that would lower that 12,900 by 3,500.
The next page, it has all of that there.
$3,380.
Oh, yes, I see you have that. Okay. I'm not proposing that as an option. So, you'll note the list, the line items that I've kicked around with our city clerk, and I hope it's clear. We had allocated in the budget $4,100 for an audit. Were you able to confirm?
I haven't been able to get confirmation yet.
That's too
It's
bad.
hard to get answers sometimes.
Yeah, because we're not going to be audited in 2015, but we've allocated $4,100. But we may get audited for the grant funding. When you have,
Yeah, we will have to do a grant audit because of the amount of money that we've received in grants. And so that's required. What we haven't figured out is if that is part of the grant funding that will pay for that, or if we have to pay for it out of our own pocket and how much.
right. So we were speculating, not having an exact answer, because all of this is, I should have mentioned that we were negotiating yesterday. So the packet you got, was the day before yesterday?
No, it was yesterday.
Yesterday. So we've been at this during the Christmas period, and so these pages are literally hot off the presses. And so we just kind of put a figure there, if depending on what we thought we might be able to reduce that 4,100 by. And then there was a certain amount for the police audit cost. We took some from there. Carpet, we have $8,000 allocated for carpet, as you'll note. If we took $3,000 off of that, we'd still have $5,000. So, street maintenance, we took the $2,000 from street maintenance. Park improvement, as painful as it would be, we've lost $2,000 from the park, and all of these are just thoughts. This is for your decision. The police department auto maintenance, where if we surplus the vehicle, we don't have to pay $500 for that. So that comes up with $10,000, and if you went from 20 hours to 19, that's another, you can see it in that, it comes up with.
You left the number off your totals. If you surplus the police vehicle, we can sell it,
Yeah,
and that would pay for the police cost.
yeah, well, it would, but we knew that we'd allocated that funding to other line items, and so we weren't sure if that's how you wanted to go that way.
Okay, all right.
But- So this is a working document. I think that our overarching sense is that my conclusion, working with Rob Snaza County Sheriff, is that I would back the services we're getting. I know that their level of professionalism, their responsivity is envied by the other communities around us who are struggling to meet. Even with the increase, it's still less than we would have paid for the cooperative with Winlock that we had prior to the relationship. So I would hope that the council would be supportive of the contractual efforts, and I would also offer that with perhaps some other additional creative thinking, there might be a way to cover that without even additional strategies. If you were to look at the budget, for example, you might even find some other areas.
Could I suggest possibly pushing the carpet project to another year?
Okay.
That would free up, would that be free up to 8,000?
Sure, these numbers are just ideas. You don't
Sure.
have to make a decision on that right this second. But this was just what, as the mayor and I went through the budget and we saw that there are places that we can cut back, you know,
Okay.
and change and reallocate to show that we could, you know, figure out how to balance that budget. That you don't have to make that decision today.
Okay.
We'll have to do that. If you want to make a decision today, you can. If you want to take time to look through your budgets and see, you know, what you think, if, you know, this is just a suggestion. It's not, definitely not anything set in stone. But just to show you that we do have room in our budget. We'll have to cut some other things back. But
We also had a
like,
surplus in our budget,
we did.
and we still do. We didn't use it all up.
We used most of it up.
We still had, if I remember correctly, we had like $25,000 left as
Now,
surplus.
we allocated for some
allocated
possible
it.
land acquisition
Yeah.
too. I mean,
Your budgets didn't leave you with a lot like we had last year. We pretty much used all of that in everything we
Okay.
budgeted for, so.
but here's where the vehicle sale and the excavator, we recall that was going to provide some cushion there too. And,
Oh, we're still gonna work on that.
yes. Mr. Wilson?
The
In-
total,
In
Mr. Wilson
essence,
had.
the general fund, what do we have in the black at the end of this December?
We don't have the December numbers closed out yet.
Give me a close idea.
I'd have to go pull up the report. I don't have it. I haven't pulled that up.
We 50,000?
Honestly, I don't know. I have not even got to that, to looking at that yet, to
Well,
close
I
out
was
the
just
end of the
wondering,
year.
because it seemed like I seen some of the figures we had last year that were close to 50,000 or something like that in the
Yeah.
black.
I could tell you what the end of November was.
Yeah.
I could go get that. I have that, but I don't have December's. Haven't even run the report yet.
This is why I am looking at these figures this way. Because we used to pay, what, $150,000, $180,000 for the police protection out of our general fund?
right,
Yeah, 120.
And here we are down to, way down when,
Mhm.
here from last year for our police protection. And this is where I'm coming from,
Sure.
is that police protection comes out of the general fund, period. And that's why I looked at this and I wanted to have 4 more hours, so, whatever. I'm just 1 on the 5 here.
Right.
Yeah.
No, this is,
what's the total, I mean, I overlooked it, what's the total increase we're looking at?
It's 10,000, was it?
$12,983.
$12,000, about $12,000.
Mhm. Yeah, about 13,000.
I think we're splitting hairs to say we're gonna cut an hour out. We're also splitting hairs saying that we're not gonna approve it. I think I'm not alone on this council when I say this is the best deal going. And we'd be a little foolish to shoot ourselves in the foot at this point. I think we're gonna make it work. I mean, that's just it. We'll make it work. So, because I know you need approval from the council to proceed with
Exactly.
final negotiations. And I'd be willing to put a motion on the table right now that we approve this for the mayor to do final negotiations with the police department on the basis that we're gonna stay with 20 hours and we're gonna go through the budget and we're gonna find the money. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it.
Would you mind reading it, because it's a resolution number that goes with it? I apologize, it's on the second page.
Okay, I'll do that.
We couldn't have written it, stated it any better.
Yeah. We just need to approve it as a resolution.
The recommended motion, which part of it do you
Down the
want?
very bottom,
Yeah, the
motion,
motion.
I move to approve.
Okay, I recommend that the date of the public
You're on
hearing, that's the
you're on
wrong one.
wrong one. Here you go,
Oh,
right there, at the
Got
bottom
a
of that.
bunch of pages in front of me.
sorry.
I move to approve resolution 012015, authorizing the mayor to execute the memorandum of understanding with the Lewis County Sheriff's Office for hours of law enforcement coverage per week as stated substantially in an MOU attached to the resolution. And I deliberately left that blank because I say it should be, we're gonna stay with the 20 hours and we're just gonna have to make it work.
That's what I would invite the council to consider.
So that's the resolution.
Okay, well, I'm impressed how the council can cut through all of the drama and the painful discovery of their recommended increases and come up with a motion. You've heard the motion submitted by Mr. Flynn. It's your opportunity now to second that motion if there is anyone so inclined.
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Mr. Olson. Now is the opportunity for council to provide additional commentary and feedback prior to.
I'll just say, I'll repeat this again so everybody knows what we're up to. Our budget has areas where we can adjust. And I think using our common sense, we can go through and adjust it and apply the money where it's best used. And right now, we should, as a council, consider the protection the police offer the citizens of this town as number one responsibility, and the others will follow.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just how I feel.
Any other council commentary? All right. I would echo those sentiments, being the individual with the city clerk who's been talking with them. They're very pleased to provide the service they're giving to the residents of Vader. We're unique in Lewis County for that. And they have indicated that if we can press ahead for the next 12 months with this, they are going to do an intensive analysis of the numbers. And we'll see the reporting from it. And I don't want to overstate this, but they'd like, beginning next year, if the council is satisfied with this next 12 months performance, to submit a package, a flat rate agreement that would be for 3 years if the council were to approve it next year. That might show with specificity the cost benefits that we're getting, and they went so far as to intimate that there might be a reduction in it when they do this cost analysis. Did I overstate something?
I don't think so.
Okay, so if we can go ahead and press forward with their MOU, as you indicate, and then find the funding to cover it, I think it would set the stage for a more long-term law enforcement package. So that may form as a model for other communities, even, who are in our situation. So with that, okay, so any other commentary? Hearing none, let's put it to a vote. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion carries. Okay. Between now and next time, feel free to scour through the budget. We'll make sure that you have the copies that you need, and let your creative thinking come in this way, and we'll do likewise. Okay, so, all right. Now we'll proceed with item number 2. wastewater treatment topic. An update on the manhole project. I haven't heard anything in the last 2 weeks. Have you heard any reporting?
Yes.
Why don't you share that with the council then?
Well, you'll see in your packet that you have a couple of things coming up about that, and basically that they have completed all the work. They're requesting, as we'll see down here a little bit further, that the city approve closing the project out. The engineer and his on-the-ground man, Sterling Smith, who's here every day watching all the project that's going on. They are confident that the project, the manhole coating project and the mains has been completed successfully and fully. And that at one point you'll see that they would like you to move to go ahead and close the project so they can get that part of the project closed out. And they will be providing us with a bunch of documentation, maps, pictures, drawings of everything that was done and where they are and what state they're in, so that we'll be able to have that for our records.
And they did do the pressure
Yep,
testing.
they pressure tested every single one,
Oh.
and they all passed.
Okay. So thank you for that update. So I guess there is some council action to consider resolution 03/2015.
The resolution there for the engineering contract amendment, if you read your document, I tried to explain it, I don't know how clear it was, but you guys had approved adding the private side sewer portion of the project to our CDBG contract. And because we made that change, we also have to make that same amendment to the engineering contract. And that's what this is officially approving the change in the engineering contract to show the work that they had to do for that. And that was all included in the previous amendment to the contract for the monies that you approved, which is just step 2.
So we don't have to do a motion on this, we just have to give the
Yes.
mayor authorization to sign this.
Yes, no, you do need to do a motion.
See on page 2.
You do. There's your cover letter. Your agenda
on the
bill
back,
has
right?
it on the back side of it. If you
Are
want
you all
to see
on
that.
the same
The
sheet?
agenda bill should say resolution 03/2005.
I'll find it, I got everything
Okay,
scattered
you
around
can
here.
pull them off.
I got everything scattered here tonight,
Oh,
I got it right here, okay.
Mr. Olson is,
Making a motion.
Mr. Olson's indicated he's prepared to submit a motion for council consideration.
I'll make a motion to move to approve resolution 03-2015, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Vader, Washington, authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to the engineering contract agreement with Gibbs and Olson Incorporated, which amends the scope of work to include engineering services related to the repair and replacement of private side sewer lines to qualify low to moderate income residents.
Resolution submitted to the council by Mr. Olson as read. And do we have a second for that motion? Seconded by Mr. Fennessy. Okay. Now, as you are aware, is your opportunity to provide your commentary, observations on the topic. Once, twice. Hearing none, okay, we'll put the matter to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing terribly complicated about it. So we'll proceed now with an update on the private side sewer project.
Actually.
Oh, we gotta
item
consider
8.
the pay request.
Yeah.
3.
And that's where there, we'd have to do 2 motions. One
Yes.
to approve the pay request with the change order, and then a second one to approve accepting the project, which means that the project is completed.
Yes, I see. The motions 1 and 2. I guess that's not excessively complicated.
This still, in approving this final pay estimate, this still would have our 5% that we've held back of all of the pay,
Retainage,
the
right.
retainage. We'll still have that until we're, once the project has been accepted and closed, then we can make sure we have all the paperwork. And once we've got every last little piece of paper from the contractor that we need, then we'll request releasing the retainage.
Yep.
We do still have that
Sounds good.
retainage there.
So you need 2 motions on this,
2
correct?
separate motions, yes, please.
Okay, do you see number 1 and number 2?
Yep, I got them.
Okay.
Yeah, you're talking manhole coating and sewer main project completion and final pay request, change order number 2, correct?
Yep.
Okay, I'll put the motions on the table. Motion 1, I approve. 1, I move to approve the manhole coating project change order, request number 2, and pay estimate number 3 in the amount of $13,693.08. Motion number 2, I move to approve completion of the manhole coating project and accept the project. All right, I want to make a statement with both those motions.
Okay.
People have to understand that this is being paid for by the grant, not a cost to the city. So we just have to approve it.
Okay, you've heard the motion submitted by Mr. Flynn. Motions number 1 and number 2, as noted. Do we have a second for
That's second.
motion number 1 and number 2?
Number
Both.
1 and number 2.
Okay. Both have been seconded by Mr. Wilson. Any comments from the council? And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Okay. Now let's proceed with 2B, the update on private side sewer project. Should have the, that's where the council will consider pay request number 1, and it's fairly comparable to what we've already done.
Just getting started on this one.
The update on the private side sewer project is that it's ongoing. All you need to do is drive through the community, and
Lots of holes.
lots of holes, right, and not a lot of speedy action, but we are trying to be as sensitive as we can possibly be. Some are more sensitive than others.
I did get an update from Sterling this
Did you?
morning.
Okay.
Yes. We asked him about the holes and the filling in and how that was working, and the contractor's original plan was to get a group of houses that were near each other, take care of the pipe, the digging, all that, and then they would move on to the next couple of houses, and another crew would come around and do all the filling. Well, behind them, unfortunately, they've been having trouble getting the equipment and the materials that they need. And so they haven't been able to do the backfill stuff. So they're hoping they may be able to get started on some of the backfill tomorrow. He said next week for sure, you'll see all the holes getting filled in.
Well,
It'll be all done next week, maybe?
Well, I don't know all complete, but you'll see the majority of those holes will be filled in.
yeah.
And yeah, the project isn't totally complete yet. We still have a few more to get going on.
Why don't you share with the council how many will be done at the final analysis?
Well, we had 28 on the list. There's one that we had to wait on, so 27, I believe, is the correct number. We still have room, though, for a couple of more in the contract amount. So they're trying. Gibbs and Olson is trying to get a couple more people into this round if they can, that either didn't complete their paperwork all the way or something like that, to try to fill that in so that we don't have to wait on those, but we'll see how that goes. I haven't heard back on that yet.
No, we don't want to sugarcoat this report, because I can tell you, Jill said to scramble with the easement paperwork.
Yes.
I don't want to bring it up in a public meeting, but paper's been flying back and forth. Signatures we've needed to get, but we have all the papers signed for those whose
For those
holes have been
27.
dug.
Yep.
And it's not like there haven't been some interesting little crises management issues, water lines being popped and sewer lines cracked. I mean, but that's what happens when you dig in the dirt, and you have to make educated guesses as to where the pipes are at and see if they. But so far, so good, and I think we've been sensitive to some of the residents who've had some inconvenience. And there's no way you're going to go through a fence or through landscaping without disgruntling residents. But they know, hopefully, that's my feedback, is that they're aware that they know that this is free, and they're looking at a gift horse, and you don't want to look in its mouth too much. So, yeah.
It looks like over here in 10th, that they're from D Street all the way down there, having to put a new line in. That's what it looks like.
Some of the lines are more than 300 feet long, so.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got it all
it's
lined
just-
up there.
Yeah.
No, it's a big job in reality, and I wouldn't want to do it in the middle of winter. And so it's a low bid company, and they're scrambling. I know you see it probably. If I see it, then I know you're probably seeing it. But it is what it is, and they are going to finish it, and we have all the paperwork that is required. So let's just struggle through it. Yeah.
If I may take this opportunity to publicly reiterate, because I know there's been some concern about reseeding the grass areas, and just to remind people that you will see that where there was grass, they will be backfilling it in, doing all of that, and then they'll be covering it with straw until the spring, and then they're gonna come back in the spring and reseed all of those spots.
Great.
So they said if they tried to reseed it now, the birds would just eat it all and it wouldn't do any good. So they said they'll come, they have an arrangement with the engineering firm, which ultimately comes back to us, that they'll be back in the spring to do that hydro seeding
Well,
of
thank
all the
you for that.
locations.
Yeah,
Just
that-
to remind you, you will
To
see
spread the
straw
word.
for a couple of months, but
Right. And there will be a second round come spring, in which others, hopefully in the community, will take advantage of this funding source. Okay. All right. Then, so we are awaiting action. No.
yes.
This was the time when we've had the motion and the
No.
second.
We don't have a motion yet.
Thought we'd done that. Okay. My wax is too eloquent.
I'll give you your motion.
Please.
I move to approve the private sewer replacement project, pay request 1 in the amount of $33,792.93.
Mr. Schy has stated the motion as read. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Olson. Any comments, observations from the council on the motion and the second? Okay, hearing none, put it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Okay. Okay. Item 2C, update on the waste treatment facility plan amendment. I don't have much of an update on it. So,
Mostly it's just been the SEPA. Is
Oh,
what we've been
yes.
working on, is all that SEPA,
mhm.
the environmental notice.
Yes, and that's, it's rather complicated, but we received a letter from Department of Ecology, it was, and I have a copy of it. Where it's at.
I think you may be confusing two different
Maybe I am.
topics.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I will withdraw my public statement.
The most current is that in order for our
Yeah.
facility plan to be approved by Department of Ecology, it has to also go through a public information and environmental process called SEPA.
Yep.
And that requires the city making a determination of the impact it will have on the community, and then giving the community time to respond if they want to. And so, in so doing, the responses we got were, people were concerned, especially the people down by where the outfall pipe might go out. And so there was kind of a lot of hullabaloo going on about that, a lot of emotion. And so we went, the engineers with them, BHC, his name is Chris Kelsey, spent a lot of time trying to work through that with Department of Ecology and the determination and the environmental and all. Anyways, basically what it's come down to is that we are going to repeal the current SEPA determination, and what that will do is it will allow us time to communicate with the public. We're going to hold a public meeting hopefully later this month or the first part of February, hold another public meeting, informational, where the engineer will come down and we'll make sure all the people who live down where that pipe might be affecting their property, make sure they're all here, give them all the information, work through, get information from the public if needed. And then once all that has been done, where everybody understands everybody, then we will redo the SEPA determination. And hopefully that, at that point, the determination will be able to go through without the public being upset and feeling like they didn't know what was going on. So at that point, then we will be able to finalize the plan with Department of Ecology and start working on designing the actual project.
That was exactly what I was going to say. So that was the,
Awesome, I'm a mind
but you said
reader.
it so much better than I did.
She just paraphrased what you were gonna say.
Would have been 20 minutes in. So, yeah, the bottom line is we're going to withdraw that SEPA process that we went through in favor of a more, no, I'm not going to start trying to hem and haw. Well said. And so that's the update on the waste treatment facility plan. Let's proceed with city business number 3. Council to consider ordinance 2015-01, the extension of the temporary ban on marijuana activities. You should have a packet in your hands explaining where we're at with that.
Well, the only thing we have to do before somebody puts a motion on the floor would be to determine when we're gonna have within the next 60 days a public hearing.
Yeah,
So let's,
Let's decide.
when can we do a public hearing within the next 60 days, then we can sit down and work on the rest of it.
We grabbed the calendar, I'm sorry, I forgot.
yes.
That one's expired, so we can't use that calendar.
Oh, yeah.
Does council want to hold it on the same night as a council meeting, or as part of the council meeting, or before, after, whatever? What are you thinking, Councilman? We have a meeting on the 22nd, that's not soon enough to publicize. So in February, our meetings are on February 12th and February 26th. And let's see, in March, we have also the 12th and the 26th.
12, that's too far
Is
out.
that too far? I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I can't remember
Well,
what
we
the
do-
date was.
I'm all right with the 12th.
I'm good.
Which
All right,
one?
Joe?
12th is fine with me.
Okay.
12th.
You guys want to do it in conjunction with the meeting, before the meeting? What do you want to do?
Uh,
It's going to take at least a half an hour for a public hearing.
About half hour before the meeting,
For me.
Does that work all right?
yeah, 5:30.
Are we talking the 12th of February or the 12th
Yes.
of March?
12th of February.
12th of February, okay.
Oh, council, we do have a comment from a member of the public.
Sure.
Yes.
Is a half hour enough? Or if there's 6 people or 8 people gonna speak, then that gives them 2 minutes to speak.
We're not going to cut them off, I would say, but if we run into the time of the council meeting, we'll run into the time of the council meeting, that's all. We'll start the meeting a little bit late. But I'd rather, I don't know anybody else feels, I'd rather set a half-hour time so we don't drag our feet. Get in here and get moving.
might also remind, I'm not sure if it was made clear, that this is an extension of the current temporary ban. It's just a temporary status while we're still working to complete the final product of what it's going to be. So we've gone through this twice before. This is the third time that we're doing this particular temporary ban. So hopefully we won't have a ton of new information coming at that point, but maybe we will, who knows?
You know,
Um,
or do we figure on the clock?
Well,
Yeah, we're gonna go February 12th,
5:30?
5:30.
got it. Okay, well, that was significant
Put it up, Mark.
accomplishment. Now I would await council action on the agenda item.
You need a motion.
Yeah.
I move to approve ordinance number 2015. Am I reading the right one here?
Yeah, it's a big, long one with block
Oh.
letters at the bottom, yeah.
I move to approve ordinance number 2015-01, an ordinance of the city of Vader, Washington relating to the recreational and medical use of marijuana, renewing the interim zoning ordinance adopted in Vader ordinance number 2014-16, prohibiting the siting, establishment, and operation of any structures, property, or uses relating to recreational or medical marijuana production, processing, cultivation, storage, sale, delivery, exchange, or bartering to be in effect until the city adopts permanent zoning regulations on the same subject, which include the prohibition on the submission of business license applications for such uses. This interim ordinance to be effective immediately, setting 6 months as the effective period of this renewal of the interim zoning ordinance, and establishing the date of a public hearing on the renewal of this interim zoning ordinance within 60 days declaring an emergency.
You may also add that second motion together with that. I apologize, they should have been
Okay.
together as one.
I recommend that the date for the public hearing on the continued maintenance of the interim zoning ordinance be set for February 12th at 5:30, which is less than 60 days after today.
Okay. You heard the motion submitted by Mr. Fennerson. Do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Flynn. Comments, observations, members of the council? None? All in favor, say aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, well done, excellent on that. Item 4, council to consider planning committee nominees. Put an S. I'd invite you to look at the handout that I just gave you. As you're probably aware, we had a second, or we had an opening on the planning committee. And I did set out for the past several weeks during the holidays to identify an individual for that. And I learned today, in actuality, that another distinguished resident of our community who had been serving on that planning committee passed away. And I had not heard that until today. Scott Stevens passed away 2 to 3 weeks ago, unexpectedly. Somehow I missed it, but the neighbors were aware of it, and so without getting into particulars in public city council meeting, it's a tragedy for the city of Vader. We've lost a wonderful citizen and a volunteer on a number of levels. But so we've needed to fill 2 positions, but as miracles happen in the city of Vader, which I think we must be in response to the prayers that are sent heavenward in our council meetings. We had 2 individuals who we determined were interested in volunteering for the service. So the letter that you have articulates that. And I don't know that we need to read the letter in public, but I can tell you I've interviewed Mr. Bob Goff, who happens to be present with us this evening. He's a regular attendee at the city council meetings, and he's a resident of Vader. He's in close proximity to City Hall, and he's, I think, a man of integrity and high character, and brings experience that I think would be of value, and the ability to work with others as well. But has a distinct appreciation for the city, and he shares a vision of it, he and his wife, that I think is compatible with. He's not going to be a robot, but he's got a vision for the city of Vader. And the other is Mrs. Christine Cox. And she lives in the Enchanted Valley, the 5-acre portion of the Enchanted Valley. The ordinance, as you probably are aware, allows you a 3-mile perimeter outside of the city limits. So she's well within that. And I interviewed her at length as well, and examined her resume. And she's highly trained, extremely intelligent, and has a high level of skills that I think will be a credit and tribute to the planning committee. So, and I think that she has demonstrated to me reasonability, as civil and respectful with other individuals. So with that having been stated, I am pleased to present both of those individuals, Bob Goff and Christine Cox, to you for your confirmation as members of the Vader City Council, and would await action consistent with that.
Do you need a motion for that?
Yeah, I think we do.
All right, I'll put a motion for that. I would recommend that. I gotta put my glasses back on. I apologize. That Bob Goff and Christine Cox be approved to join our planning committee
Okay.
as soon as possible.
You've heard the motion submitted by Mr. Flynn to confirm Bob Goff and Christine Cox to serve on the Vader City of Vader Planning Committee. Do we have a second? Seconded by Mr. Fennessy. Is there any comments? Now's your chance. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. The motion is carried. Gentlemen, I think we need a round of applause for confirmation. It means a lot to me because I work closely with that planning committee. And you know the gravity of what they're about to do. And, without stating any more, let's go to, well, if you don't mind, perhaps it would be appropriate to jump to number 6, because it segues nicely to the council discussion on the request for qualifications for the city planner. And the council be willing to jump to number 6 so that we can segue the planning committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds great.
With that, as you're well aware, we've been advertising for interest to replace Rob White, who withdrew his involvement with the city. Not any problems with the city, but and so after advertising, we did get one statement of interest, and it was with a company called SCJ Alliance. Dan Penrose is the planning manager for that company. And they're out of Lacey, Washington, and they provided a wonderful, stylized and focused statement of qualifications to us that pertains specifically to the city of Vader. It's very professionally done. And they've submitted contract proposal, stated numbers based on the advertisement, provided with specificity what would be expected of it. And we've both spoken with Mr. Penrose, myself, and the city clerk, and from my perspective, they are equally professional and skilled as Rob White was. And only they have a company that focuses on it. They've got a number of employees, and they have other small communities that they provide these services for. And the startling reality is when we crunch the numbers that they provided for us, it's comparable. It's I was kind of taken aback because they've got some overhead here, but they're extremely personable, very anxious if the city of Vader would approve them of providing on-call professional planning services for our little community.
Have they been run by our city attorney? Because she recommended the last planner.
Yeah, we have run the contract by her.
Well, she provided the contract. It's the same
Yes.
exact contract we used with
Exactly.
Rob White. We just swapped out the names
We just,
and put in the 2015
Yeah.
budget amount.
What does she think of this planning outfit?
She doesn't know them. She did ask who they are,
Yeah.
and she wasn't
Okay.
familiar with
yeah,
them.
she was just comfortable with Rob. Rob was the one that she recommended because
Right.
she'd had experience with. But she's not, I didn't ask her for an opinion
Okay,
on
all right.
that. So, but we're using the same contract, so I feel like it's a pretty, it's well written. I think it's bulletproof.
Yeah.
But I'm not asking the council to actually approve the contract per se, because we'd want you obviously to get it. But what I'd like to do is get council approval to move ahead with it, because there's no gun to our heads here.
Right.
I'd like to continue to talk to the company, and then at our next council meeting, between now and then, we invite you to look at the figures. Would that be
Yeah,
comfortable for
we
you?
should have the contract ready for you at the next meeting easily.
Yeah.
We were hoping to have it ready for you at this one, but
Yeah.
it just ran out of time, so.
Yeah. So that's where we're at on that.
So you just need a nod of approval to move ahead, or you need
Yeah.
a motion, or what do you
Yeah.
need?
To move ahead with the formulation of a contract.
You need a motion for that?
I don't think so. I
What
think
do you
just.
motion?
It doesn't ever hurt to have a
Yeah,
motion, have
it
something
makes it-
official down on paper.
Yeah,
We got everything you say. I make a motion.
Well, you do it.
Everything you say.
I made it up.
From
I
now
can
on.
make this one.
I move that Mr. Shaw. No, I see.
So moved, so moved.
I'll make a motion to approve the ongoing contract
Yes.
deliberation figures with SCJ Alliance.
Okay, heard the motion submitted by Mr. Shy to authorize the mayor to proceed and the city clerk to proceed with negotiations with SCJ Alliance for on-call professional planning services. Okay. Any second for that?
I'd second that.
Okay, been seconded by Mr. Olson. Any additional input, feedback? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, excellent. The reason it was important to segue that is because now we can staff our planning committee. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we will solidify a contract with the council's approval with this company, and we will then be ready to rock and roll with the administration of our ordinances, and some of which might impact some of the blighted properties in our city. So, plus we'll be able to move forward with perhaps some property acquisition and other such related ordinances that have, and efforts that have been stymied by the absence of this. So I'm quite excited. This is going to be a big step forward. And hopefully will last for a while.
Amen.
All right, with that, let's proceed with, believe it or not, our last item. It's a council discussion on employee pay scale and raise structure policies. stand united with the council in the budget discussions that we went through and completed on time and under budget last year. I have to tell you, though, one of the mayor's responsibilities is to oversee the day-to-day operations of our city and with the personnel and staff that we've got. And we have, from my perspective, the most stable, the most professional, trustworthy, competent employees that we've had in my experience in the city of Vader. And I think it would project to prior to that. Can't speak for Mr. Wilson's era. He had some marvelous people too. But in modern history, I think we're being well served by who we have. But I also have to be very candid and tell you that there has been some disgruntlement, and I won't say numbers, amongst those who feel like they might be under compensated, if that's a sensitive, civil way to describe it. And so I've dealt with that, and with the sensitivity that I have, trying to be sensitive to the pressures that exist. And you're probably aware that we pay relatively low pay, and especially since the people are aware that in Seattle they're pushing hard to have the minimum wage of $15 an hour. I don't know if they
Good
did
luck.
that or not. But
We didn't get it at the airport.
Yeah, or away.
I think I'll get out of retirement and go to work.
Yeah.
You get a raise with a minimum wage job.
yeah. But the reality is that there are pressures, and there are individuals in our employ who would feel a pinch, and when they're offered employment that's easily exceeds what they're currently making for the responsibilities they have, then you could imagine that there's pressures for them to take it. And I don't want to play out this drama too excessively in front of the court of public opinion, but I'm trying to be sensitive here in that I understand the needs we have to be financially sound. But by the same token, I also get to deal with human beings who are being pressured to quit and to take jobs that would be a lot less stressful, and they get more money. Selling shoes, for example, which might be a very real life analogy, if you get my drift. So the reason this is on here is because the first phase to demonstrate sensitivity, one of the concerns is that there's no sense of hope that there might be a reason to stay with the community, because there's no pay scale, there's no formula for advancement in salaries. And if the council were to consider just implementing, as most other cities have, when you hire somebody, they know that if their performance is sufficient and they improve their skills and they learn over time, that they can anticipate a pay raise, rather than just await at the whims of the mayor or city administrator or council, and in which they put their hearts on the table and have to beg and plead for a pay raise. That make any sense? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to demonstrate some sensitivity by inviting the council to think about maybe adopting, as other cities have, is a formula for a pay incentive.
Do you have some,
Yes, you do.
how would
Other
some guidelines
examples.
that other cities are using
Yes.
that we could use for reference?
Yep, we do. And so with that thought in mind, trying to deal with the potential negative impacts of this topic, I did initiate an effort to find out if there might be some exemplars of other communities, and most other cities have those, so yeah, we've got a handful of them. And at our next council meeting, I would bring one or two for your edification. So this is an initial foray into the topic. That's what it is. There. So
Sounds good to me.
are we okay? No pitchforks or table pounding? Okay.
I can only speak for myself, but, you know, if we, I know we have to go through this budget and squeeze numbers for the,
Right.
okay, but if we can squeeze other things, because I think our employees should be paid adequately, as best as we can.
Well, yeah, and let me be clear here, that this is not an across-the-board concept. I mean, it would be the pay structures and such, but we're not facing a mutiny, an all-out,
No,
it's not that way.
no,
So,
that just shows the character.
But if we don't do something, everybody's leaving tomorrow, so.
no, that is not the case.
People with good character and they're, you know, committed, and so
Our employees are
they
committed
do
to the
deserve
city of
whatever we
Vader.
can do.
Now that I can tell you. They love the city of Vader, and they want every reason to have a sense that there's hope.
We're
And-
such a lovable group. I mean, is that not compensation?
That's right. We just love you to
Or the
death.
person that
We
made
won't pay you, but we.
Well, I'll tell you what, in 1980, I sat here in the city council, and the city council was getting $1, I believe, it could have been 5, per meeting. And then, you know what? By getting that money, I had to tell everybody how much money I made and everything, because that's the law. We canceled our $1 or $5.
Too much
And
pressure.
that is the truth. If you went back the minute, you'd find out.
I believe you. No. Yes. As elected officials, yeah, it's a little different. And I, for one, am perfectly fine with the pay that we get. So, but it's different if you have mouths to feed and other such financial pressures.
One thing about the wage rate we get, we don't have to worry about coming in tomorrow and having a cut in our pay.
Exactly, right.
Don't worry about paying taxes either.
That's true.
Oh, I don't know about that, they'll find a way.
That's just the principle, you know. and
Sure.
For the few dollars you're getting, you have to make it public then of exactly how much money you make just sitting here for $1. That's ridiculous.
It's public meetings for you, that's how it is. Public funding, it requires that. Well, then with that, thank you for listening. That concludes my input on item number 5, and we've done number 6. So absent any other commentary from the council, I'm going to declare this